What's up, fellas? Long time no see. It's been a little bit since I posted a video recapping the week. I'm not really going to recap the entire week here, but given it's the end of the regular season, I thought I would make a video for you guys as we have the playoffs starting this week. um, Obviously, this previous week was an important week for several teams. I believe it came down to probably about four teams. Dakota, DJ, and Derek already had wrapped up playoff spots, and it was down to Ray, myself, Josh, and Dalton. I think for the last three playoff spots, I don't think anybody else was going to be able to get in at that point. Yeah, it looks like that would have been correct. And then it looks like it boiled down to Josh and Dalton as they both had the same record for the last spot, and then Josh had beaten Dalton during the regular season. They only matched up once, and head to head is the first tiebreaker for the playoffs. So that's why Josh got in over Dalton. I'm sure you guys who have been in the league for a very long time are aware of how things work. So obviously, just like the NFL, head to head does make a difference. So I like to keep that the same here. I know a lot of leagues just go off of um, total points scored, which is a very good barometer to judge who the best team is overall for the entire season. But I think those head-to-head matchups, I mean, they got to mean something other than just like a win or a loss on your record. So I kind of like that factor. I'm really just going to focus on two matchups from the previous week. As you guys know, these matchups are occurring again this week. That'll be Derek versus Josh and me versus Ray. We both played this previous week. It was everybody's second time playing that opponent as well. I previously beat Ray in our first matchup, but I lost this previous week. Ray won this one. It was 129 to 104. If I look at Ray's team here, obviously Stafford played very well for him, 24 points. He's been one of the best players. Um, Maybe not necessarily so much for fantasy. He has been very good for fantasy, but likely to win the MVP. It looks like kind of looking at him or Drake May. And I think the Rams are really trying to do a good job getting his stats up there because he's throwing a lot of like very short touchdowns in the red zone where they could run the ball with two very solid running backs in their team with Williams and Corum. So we'll see how that goes. He had James Cook, just had 10 points. I thought he would have more in that game. Obviously, it was a bit of a mess up there, a lot of snow, very high scoring game. I think Cook fumbled going into the end zone at least once that I remember, maybe twice. So that definitely hurt him there. Corum had a huge day at 26 points. Pittman finished with 12. Obviously, with the Colts losing Daniel Jones for the rest of the season, I expect all of their players to take a hit. Warren, Pittman, Pierce, Taylor. Obviously, Taylor's not going to lose touches by any means. He may even get more, but teams are likely going to be able to focus on him more uh, and go from there. Nice little sign for the guy in first place. um, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, obviously they're signing Philip Rivers. He hasn't played in 5 years. He was a solid quarterback when he was playing, but he's 44 years old. I mean, I don't really care if he does good or does bad. I just hope the guy doesn't get hurt. To be honest, with me, he's got a lot of kids, so they he needs to be healthy for his family. Seahawks defense got him 20. Seahawks kicker got him 14. Um, as I mentioned to Ray, we've talked a little bit and mentioned in the chat, like that's my biggest concern going into this week is the Seahawks play the Colts. Colts are gonna be throwing out God knows who at quarterback, and I think the Seahawks might feast on them. We'll see how it goes. I just hope like Seahawks can score 15 or less, just for me, and maybe they can get a lot of touchdowns so Myers doesn't have to kick a ton. But we'll see how that goes. He did play He did have Brian Thomas on the bench, who had 10 points. Had the Texans defense, who had 13. So I think he probably has the two best defenses between the Texans and the Seahawks. So unfortunately, you can only play one. So maybe he'll play the wrong one. I mean, obviously he's probably going to roll with the Seahawks, but maybe the Texans will just outscore him. You never know how it goes. Um, not not much else going on there in his lineup. I mean, Adams only had 5 points. You expect a little bit more there, but The other players probably perform what you'd likely expect. When you look at my team here, I rolled out Sam Darnold. Had to do a bye week fill in for Drake May. He did solid, 22 points. I'll take that from anybody any week. So I wasn't upset with that. Derrick Henry just had 11. Expected a little bit more, but obviously it's a big, tough, divisional matchup there. Bijan had 8. Didn't expect a ton with him playing the Seahawks. And then I got 13 out of my defense. Had the Broncos this week. I had 23 out of Aubrey on Thursday night. Love that. I mean, that's huge. Just wasn't enough there. Um, Obviously, Ibuka, Lad McConkey, my two top receivers combining for like 4 points. That's just not going to get the job done. Ibuka's really struggled second half of the season. I know some players have gotten healthy for the Bucks. Mike Evans may be coming back too, but Baker Mayfield's just been off, not throwing the ball well. Ibuka's had some drops too. Lads, struggling just because they don't have an offensive line. Justin Herbert's banged up. I mean, they're just trying to survive and get through things. He also had a really tough matchup with Cooper DeJean on him, who I think is the number one slot corner uh, this year, from what I heard. And then other players I got in the lineup just not expecting a ton from. Got 5 out of Chris Rodriguez, whatever. Like I got to throw somebody in there. A lot of players on by, and I'm not expecting a ton out of him there. If we look at the other matchup here, let me see something here real quick. So it looks like when Josh played Derek, Josh won both matchups. He won the first one. It was week 1. It was 96-85. And then he also won this past week, 118-71. So not a close matchup. But maybe the third time is the charm for Derek. We'll see how it goes. His team has just gotten banged up with some injuries, which doesn't help. He's got Herbert at quarterback. He had 12 points this past week. I think he's going to roll Brock Purdy this week. Probably the better decision with Herbert's line being messed up and him playing with a surgically repaired left hand. Not that it affects throwing so much, but I mean it's still there. It's still something he has to consider. Obviously, as Jonathan Taylor, he was killing it beginning of the year. I'd be shocked if he got double digits this week, unless he breaks one. Seahawks defense is very good. They have no passing game currently. It's gonna be rough. Um, has St. Brown, who also has been, playing through some injury, a very good player there. Rasheed Rice has struggled. Came out the gate off his suspension, was doing very good, and just hasn't really been great. I mean, obviously the Chiefs as a whole are struggling. Good chance they might not make the playoffs this year. So we'll see how that goes there. Obviously, he has Quentin Johnson as well, who was killing it beginning of the year, and it's just completely fallen off a lot because the Chargers offense is kind of falling apart. So we'll see how that goes there. But yeah, he just a genuinely rough week for his team. We look over here at Josh's team. He had Bo Nix with 16, Jacobs with 16. I mean, Jacobs is pretty consistent. He's got Amari and Hampton back, which is a good push. Nice little addition to his team heading into the playoffs. He had 14. DK had 18. Jameson Williams just completely up and down player, 14 points. J.S. Hinton had a big day with 25. He's been one of the most consistent receivers this year, probably the most consistent, honestly. Um, and he's going to be a top 5 pick next year, most likely. I mean, I think it's probably JSN, Puka, CMC, and Gibbs. Maybe Bijan's kind of up there. But I think it's those guys are probably going to be the best. I mean, obviously, you can't rule out Jamar Chase, when he's got a healthy Joe Burrow all year. That'll help. But Justin Jefferson won't be up there, not with McCarthy, unless they make a big change there. Maybe CeeDee Lamb could be up there, possibly. And, there's also a chance I'm missing somebody. So you never know. But then if we look at these two matchups for For this week, let's see what I can show here. Currently, with the way each lineup is set, I am projected to beat Ray. It's 124 to 111. Um, Obviously, Drake May's got a pretty decent matchup. Derrick Henry's got a good matchup. Bijan's matchup's okay. Lad's probably not a good matchup. Shakira's not a good matchup. Ibuka's got a pretty solid matchup. Trey McBride, no good on that matchup. That's gonna be tough against the Texans. Singletary, good matchup. And then I'm hoping the Jets don't play Tyrod Taylor. Maybe they'll throw Fields out there, or I think the next guy is somebody named Cook or something. I don't know. He probably is horrible, so hopefully he gets to start, and then Jags can have a lot of points. And then of course, I trust Aubrey to score pretty solid every week. Um, Looking at Ray's team, Stafford's got a reasonable matchup. He is playing Detroit, so he's going to want to put up points, and Sean McVay is going to help him put up points. That's my opinion. Um, James Cook against Patriots, tough matchup there. Trevion Henderson against Buffalo. They let him get the touches. I mean, that's a pretty good matchup, but him and Stevenson tend to split. Obviously, if Devontae Adams scores, he's going to get double points with the stack there. So we'll see how that goes. Juwan Jennings has an easy matchup. Pittman, tough matchup. Ferguson, I think Vikings are probably a decent defense. Corum, obviously I would love for Detroit's defense to really come out and play well. Maybe keep the Rams under 20, 24, under that. Because that would bode very well for me, given he's got 3 Rams in his lineup. And then he's got Seahawks defense and kicker. Both of them are probably going to do very good, and that definitely makes me nervous there. And then when we look at Josh's matchup versus Derek, Derek is projected to win this one 118 to 115, so a little bit closer on the projections. Josh has Bo Nix going against the Packers. That's a tough matchup there. Josh Jacobs versus Denver. That's tough. Marion Hampton versus Kansas City. It's okay. Just I think Kansas City will probably focus on stopping the run and making the Chargers have to drop back. They don't have a line. They'll try to probably blitz. Spagnuolo loves to blitz. So DK Metcalf's got the Dolphins. I think that's a middle of the pack matchup. Jameson against the Rams. That's a huge game. JSN versus the Colts. I mean, JSN's going to do his thing like he always does. Tyler Warren's going to have a tough matchup. Roma Dunze, he's got a tough matchup, but it may not be as tough. Um, Denzel Ward may be out, and he's got Saints and Pitt kicker. Then when we look at Derek's team, Derek's got Brock Purdy going against the Titans. Cake matchup. That's exactly what you want. Taylor against the Seahawks. That's super tough. Hubbard versus Saints. Probably blah. Him and Dowdle seem to be splitting time. St. Brown's got a big game against the Rams. It's not the easiest matchup. Devontae Smith versus the Raiders. That's probably a pretty easy matchup. Rashee Rice versus the Chargers. In the middle, Goddard versus the Raiders. Good matchup. Butte versus Buffalo. Good matchup. Eagles defense. Good matchup. And then he's got the Kansas City kicker. So we'll see how that goes. But these are the 2 games this week to focus on. These are the only ones that matter. I mean, matter really. I mean, obviously all you guys in the consolation bracket are playing for draft pick order for next season. So same as years past, the better you do in the consolation bracket, the higher your draft pick will be next year. If you're the worst team in the consolation bracket, you will pick number 6 next year. We're not here trying to award tanking by any means, and we want the season to continue for everybody as long as possible and make things fun and exciting. So it basically goes based off your record, and then if your record is tied with somebody, I just base it off of who scored the most points for those 3 weeks to figure out the standings there. And then obviously for the winners bracket, it just goes if whoever has the worst record, they're going to pick sooner. Obviously, we're all trying to compete in the winners bracket to win, to get the belt, which apparently Dalton never gave to Kenny, or Kenny never got it from Dalton, whatever it may be. So Kenny may not see the belt, which is unfortunate, but they could have figured that out, I guess. We'll see. There will be a new champ. Kenny is not in the playoffs, and Dalton, who currently has the belt, apparently is not in the playoffs either. So It'll be either Dakota winning for second or third time. I guess I don't think DJ's probably never won. Be his first win. He's obviously newer to the league. It'd be Derek, myself, and Josh's first time if we could win. And I'm not sure if Ray has won before or not. I just don't have that information right on top of my head. Um, let me see if I possibly have it in my phone. No, I just have the high scoring weeks and low scoring weeks. But I know somebody's got that information somewhere if somebody cares to find out. But that is all I got for you guys. I looked at waivers. Nothing crazy happened this week. Look at something here. I was trying to see if there's a quick way I could see everybody's budget. Oh, maybe there it is. So it looks like if we're looking at free agent budget, most of the teams in the playoffs do not have much to spend. Dakota's got 8. I have 12. DJ has 1. Derek has 20. Josh has 0. And Ray has 0. So not a ton there. Obviously, there's a couple teams, a few that are not in the playoffs that have quite a bit more. Jason has 40, Dalton with 48, and Garrett 54. So obviously, if there's something big that happens and there's a big, free agent to grab, none of the playoff teams are likely getting them if the other guys really want them. So just thought that would be something to look at. But best of luck to everyone this week, and next week will be the semifinals. And good luck to everybody. See you next time.